Welcome to the Be Magnetic podcast, where we ignite deep abundance and step into soul-led success without losing joy, freedom, or peace. This is for the woman who is bored, disconnected, and exhausted trying to win a game she doesn't want to play anymore. If your soul is calling for more flow, more ease, more magic, but you're not sure how to get there, get ready to become magnetic and create a life that is as juicy and abundant as you've always dreamed it could be. Hi, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm so excited for today's episode because I created it inspired from a conversation with a friend that I had. So if you're hyper motivated, in love with your to-do list, and ready to take on the world to prove everyone wrong and show them how capable you are to create the success that no one believes you can, this episode is for you. So I have a friend, and she's exactly like you. She is the embodiment of what I just shared. She's hyper motivated. She loves her to-do list. She's so ready to achieve and accomplish. And she's so ready to prove everyone what she's capable of. And I have been like her as well. And I can totally resonate with this energy. I have been hyper motivated. I've been so disciplined, so dedicated, so hardworking, so committed and ready to prove everyone wrong, and so hyper focused on success and on creating something for myself, and so much ambition and so much self-belief. And all those things in itself are incredible qualities that serve us so well on our path, especially as entrepreneurs, because they are the very foundation that help us to move through hardship, to stay at it when things look like not sure if it's gonna work out, right? But these also are leading you further away from who you truly are and from the difference that you're truly meant to make in the world, and the way you're actually meant to be fulfilled and happy and successful. And the way this shows up with my friend is that every time we see each other, we have similar conversations, and she does share things like she's exhausted, she doesn't want to do it anymore, she can't really see the success, nothing's really moving, her relationship isn't really where she wants it to be. There's so many different aspects, so many different things that keep coming up, over and over again, where I, myself, as someone who's been through that and who is naturally very open-minded and very conscious and can see a lot of things, will also receive so many messages from spirit. Sometimes really we've been on walks together and spirit's been hey, knock knock, please share this with her. And so there's incredible qualities in that. There's incredible strength within all of these things, and they serve us so well. If you're feeling exhausted, if you're feeling disconnected, if you're feeling I'm not sure, frustrated, resistance, whatever, then it's very likely that you're not honoring your feminine energy enough. And I know I've been talking a lot about feminine energy lately, and in the last few episodes we really dove deep into it, and I kind of want to wrap things up here for now, and just kind of draw a conclusion or just sum things up that have really served me in the last few months, and also kind of the last few episodes that we discussed, to kind of really build this bigger picture of how we can live and lead from our feminine energy, which eventually will result in a more fulfilled, more happy, and more abundant and successful life than if we just merely rely on our masculine energy. So this episode is titled Stop Leading with Your Strategy and Start Leading with Your Energy. And I want to discuss this first because there is a really important message in the title of this episode. So I do believe that strategy is important just as much as discipline is important, dedication, motivation, logic, focus, ambition. All these things are really important, but so far I believe we've been approaching it the wrong way. And I've shared this on a different podcast in an interview recently, where the way I approach strategy is not necessarily about like getting hyper focused or hyper strategic. Yes, it's important to get organized. It's important to actually think and like look at, okay, how can we put things so that it can work out. But when it comes to strategy, I will never, and I never recommend anyone to like go to someone and be like, okay, what worked for you? And then like take that exact same strategy and apply it to yourself. And that is something that is very, very preached in the online business world or just in a business world in general. It's always, the advice is always like, go and look towards someone who is really successful, who has created the success that you want to see, and then ask them or like look at what they've done and then apply it to yourself. And I would never ever give this advice because I don't believe that strategy is a one size fits all. I don't believe that what works for me or what works for you or what works for Lisa or Emma or whoever does work for someone else as well. I do believe that everyone has their own unique blueprint of how they're supposed to approach their life and their business, leading with their energy first and then with the strategy. So when I say lead with your energy first, what do I really mean is that we first look within us and explore who we really are. And that includes our feminine magnetism, right? We are women, so we have unique magic that men don't have, and we're meant to use that magic in creating success, in leading, bringing our gifts to the world, in creating abundance, in creating success. But first of all, we have to obviously uncover that. We have to like look at, okay, what is my unique blueprint? What is my unique energy? And then when we've created the clarity, when we've gone through the identity shifts, when we have become that version of us that is really truly rooted in her feminine magnetism, then we can actually look at, okay, what are the actions and strategies and systems that I can apply to my life in my business to support me to be that version of myself and to actually make a difference as this version of myself. And when it comes to becoming that version of yourself, I have created a couple incredible episodes that I highly recommend you to listen to. Episode 159 and episode 161. Both of them focus on different aspects of becoming that version of yourself. One is more tailored towards letting go of the shame of stepping into your magnetism, which is so important because shame is such a big part of like stepping into who you really are. We really need to let go of that shame. And then what no one tells you about becoming that woman, which is really an episode that's helping you incredibly much with just navigating this more like energetic transition that is required for you to actually create the soul-led success that you're desiring, because there is grief, there is hardship within that transition. And so I've created this episode to help you navigate this with more ease. And then also I've created the Embody Her guide. Is a free guide that's linked in the show notes below to really help you make that identity shift. So go and download that as well. So once we have made this shift, we can then go and be like, okay, this works for me, this works for me, this is how I want to create content, this is how I want to show up online, this is how I want to do sales, this is the funnel that I want to do. These are the offers that I want to serve in. And that for everyone looks different. And so when we look at strategy, we are approaching it with uniqueness first. And we're actually not leading with strategy, we're leading with the energy, because we're leading from a place of who we are and how we are like showing up with our own unique magic. And then from that, we're using the strategy to assist us in bringing to life who we are, really. I kind of like skipped over this, but I do want to also discuss how no one has ever really asked why we even put strategy first, why we even put so much emphasis on strategy. And the answer that I found for myself is that it's also just coming from this like male dominated principle, because obviously strategy is something very like masculine at its core. And again, this isn't about like shaming on any part. Like we both need the masculine, the feminine, but I do believe that, especially as women, we should be leading with our feminine first and then use the masculine to assist us, to build the container to support us, because the masculine in itself is a very like supportive energy, right? It loves to support, it loves to provide, it loves to hold. And so if you use strategy in that way, but lead with our energy, we actually create a beautiful balance within ourselves that makes us feel very content, very in balance, very aligned. And when we show up with that, success that we are creating doesn't only reflect more of what we actually wanted to manifest, but also it does feel really good. So I also want to tap on what the actual reason is why people love to be around you, love to purchase from you, love to work with you, right? Because obviously when we look at like creating success, that is part of what success looks like for most of us, right? And so I've experienced that a lot of women, especially when they're like already more successful, so they've, got a very stable client base, they make good money, then the shift for them into the feminine energy is, or leading with their energy, is way harder than if they do that from the very start. So if they start their business with those principles, which I highly encourage, and I'm always like so excited when I get to work with someone who is wanting to start their business and they're like, I want to do this right, I want to do this leading with my feminine, I don't even want to like get into this whole like masculine stuff because I know it's not going to serve me, because I've heard from so many people it doesn't serve them. So I do always love that, but I do obviously also have a lot of clients who have created success already and who have done that from their masculine energy, which has served them so, so well. And a big part of why they're successful is because they're leading with strategy first, because it does work, but it doesn't create the fulfillment that they're desiring. And at some point, it does make you notice that you've been living out of alignment, because it's not our nature. And so the shift is difficult because we believe that people love us for the logical thinking, or for the milestones that we achieved, or for finding solutions to every problem. And yes, these things are important, but it's not necessarily that. Like, people love you for your energy. People want to work with you for your energy, not for your wisdom, knowledge, experience, the client results. Like, of course, these are things that people use to make decisions, but just because they've been taught to make decisions based on their logic. And when we make decisions based on our logic, we're like, okay, how much results did she able to generate? How many clients did she work? How much money does she make? How credible is she actually? Like, how much does she know? How much can she actually help me? If we were to make decisions really truly in alignment with higher consciousness, we would use our intuition to tune into someone's energy and be like, okay, does it feel aligned to work with this person? And then you get a clear yes or no answer, and then you can decide based on that, right? So people, regardless of what they tell you, never, ever unconsciously decide to work with you or to be around you based on any of these external success metrics. They always decide to work with you because of your energy. And so if you want to continue scaling your business, if you want to continue to create more success, but in a more aligned way, so a way that doesn't deprive you, that doesn't feel icky, that doesn't make you compensate for it with, time or energy or other things, your sanity, or if you just want to feel more authentic, more in tune with who you really are, then leading with your feminine is going to do that for you. Leading with your energy is going to help you attract more of that success, more of that income, grow and scale your business, but in a more soulful, soul-led, sustainable way. And I've also kind of touched on it in a different episode. Oh, before I go there, I also wanted to mention that if you want to dive more into the whole like leading with your energy aspect, I can highly recommend you episode 158, how to romanticize your life. Romanticizing your life is such a big part of just getting deeper into your own energy, and the deeper you are in your own energy, the more you can transmit and radiate that externally. So if you want to lead more with your energy over strategy, like it's important to just come home to yourself and to really make sure that you tend to your energy, you nurture your energy, and you let your energy radiate outward. And romanticizing your life is such a big part of that. So make sure to go listen to that episode. And of course, if I've also got a one-off session called Unbecoming, where we really tap deep into how to lead with your energy, how to become that version of yourself, and then like unravel all the strategies and the stuff that doesn't longer fit for the version of success that you want to create, and dive deeper into how can we create success in a way that is aligned with who you are and the way you'll want to lead and live and move through the world. So it's also linked in the show notes below. Anyways, I've mentioned in another episode that there is a lot of chaos in our world, and of course we can always see it, right? The wars, the conflicts, the battles, all of that. And a big part of that is because there's an imbalance of masculine and feminine energy, because so many of us have been leading with strategy first and with energy second. And so by actually taking the first step to leading with our energy first, and then let strategy be more of like the supporter, we can make great changes in the world. And the world in itself needs more of the feminine to rise. We need more of the leaders who step into the feminine and lead from who they really are, so that we can actually see the changes in the world that we desire to see, and so that we can actually as a society be happier and more fulfilled and more in balance. And so I really highly invite you to stop leading with your strategy and start leading with your energy, so that we can actually as a collective make the shifts in the world that we are trying or that we're desiring to see. And I hope that I have given you some great insights in today's episode to start this journey. There's so many resources, so make sure that you check out the show notes. Everything I mentioned is linked or mentioned there again. And then screenshot this, tag me, and share your biggest takeaway. I would love to just keep this conversation going and also hear your approach and where you are with this, and what your thoughts are on strategy versus energy and all the things. And then I will see you in next week's episode. Bye!